views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
My name is Marlene Cintrón. I am the president of the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation. I'm also the president of the Business Initiative Corporation of New York, which is the reason why we're here today. And I only get paid by one of those two companies. Darn. But as I just said to my table mate, this has been my dream job. When you're in your 6 or 7, and perhaps if you're a boy, you say, I'm going to be a police officer, I'm going to be a fireman. And so I didn't know what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a teacher because that's who I saw. I was a major nerd. Back then, they weren't cool. And in the end, as I entered college, I got involved in politics, revolutionary politics. I totally thought that this government should be overthrown because it wasn't serving the needs of our nation. And so I went to work for a member of Congress after raising a lot of ruckus in the city of New York. And what I learned very quickly was that if you want to make change, you have to make the change from within a structure. And so I worked for a member of Congress, I worked for a state senator, I worked for the governor of Puerto Rico, I worked for an amazing mayor, Mayor David N. Dinkins, and I made a difference. But what I didn't realize was that my dream job was still ahead. It was combining the work that I did at Citibank with the work that I did with government. And this was it. And I had no idea that I could do what we have done. But the way that it happened was that I had someone who believed more in me than I believed in myself. And he called me and said, I have an opening and I want you to apply. And I didn't think I was worthy. And I wasn't until I had somebody else believe in me. And then when you have those kinds of rock stars next to you, there's nothing you can't do. And we did it. We went from 14.2% unemployment, the highest in the history of New York State, down to 3% February of last year. And then COVID hit. And all the work that we had done came crashing down. Unemployment went up to 26%. But what we had was a formula. And every one of you is that formula. We had partnerships. We had partnerships with banks who kept the money rolling. We had partnerships with businesses who were essential businesses. We had residents in the Bronx that said, I've been down. I'm not going down for the count again. I had supermarkets, minority-owned supermarkets, who called me, I didn't call them, and said to me, I have $50,000 in little gift cards for the supermarket. Who is a credible nonprofit who we can give it to, who will give it to those people in need? It's been a very tough year for all of us, but it's also been a gratifying year for the Bronx, because in the end, look at where we are. We're in Bronx Botanical. Thank you. And there's this amazing sense of renewal that we all feel as we protected ourselves and our family and our business and our nonprofits. And at the same time, we have continued to give to each other. So I'm a little smarmy today because it is my last day in front of you as the president of BOADC and BICNY. But certainly, I have to thank you because you have ensured that we are Bronx strong. You have ensured that you always answered the phone. We had a financial institution that when the big banks decided that they didn't need the business of our smaller businesses, one of which was running $11 million through his checking account and needed PPP, I called Ponce Bank and they said, we got them. So everybody has been a part of this, and I am so grateful for Madeline and Senor Naldon. But certainly all of you are here because today is the day to celebrate you. So with that in mind, today could not have happened if it hadn't been for a member of the Bronx Botanical Garden, another individual, another Bronx stakeholder who said yes and gave us the green light to do this here today. And as you see the sun shining in through the windows, remember that for the last 11 years, what have I said? On every banker's breakfast day, the sun has always shone. And today more than ever. But on top of the sun, I saw a couple of beautiful little red birds outside, that added the extra push to this experience today. So, Carolina A. Wamsler, thank you. Thank you for making this happen. And please share with us a few words.
Good morning. I am Carolina Wamsler, and I have the distinct honor of serving on the board of the New York Botanical Garden. So, on behalf of my board colleagues, New York Botanical Garden's interim president and CEO, J.B. Kasaboom, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome all of you to the garden on this absolutely splendid spring morning. I believe this is the very first time that we are holding a public event in this space in over a year. And we could not be filling it with a more appropriate group of guests. So we are thrilled to be hosting this event today. It gives me distinct hope here this morning to host this occasion. And thank you, Montefiore and Marcus Crespo, for making this event possible. As we celebrate Bronx Week 2021, I just want to take a few moments to acknowledge two leaders who, along with the financial and community anchors represented here this morning, will probably have chapters written about them in the restoration story of the Bronx and of New York City. First, to our host and my fellow board member, Bronxboro President Reuben Diaz Jr., we just cannot thank you enough for your leadership of our beloved Bronx. I have every confidence that due to your robust accomplishments on economic development, housing, health and wellness, education, and public safety, the pandemic will not be the defining chapter of our story. Whoever fills your shoes will have you to thank for the upward trajectory of our borough that he or she will inherit. And of course, our keynote speaker this morning. Welcome, Dr. Ozua. The garden and Montefiore have a long history together, sharing in the commitment to the health and well-being of Bronx residents. We are all indebted to you and the essential workers of Montefiore Medical Center for your selfless service, always and especially in this past year. I look forward to hearing your remarks later in the program. And with that, again, a warm welcome to everyone. Please visit us again soon. Indulge in these gorgeous 250 acres of the New York Botanical Garden, and do come back to see the current exhibition, Kusama Cosmic Nature, which will be on view through October, so there's lots of time. I think you will find it an especially joyful celebration and a safe and fun activity for the entire family. Thank you.
If you think that we spent our last year and 2 months just Zooming in our flip-flops and shorts, you have another thing coming. We spent the last 14 months receiving a lot of phone calls, making a lot of phone calls, and making sure that our businesses had the wherewithal to continue to stay standing and, if possible, expand and grow. And you can't do that unless you have amazing leaders in front. And we had one who always wore a shirt and tie whenever he Zoomed, and provided us with the impetus, with numbers, like, how are we doing, how are we doing? We gotta do more, we gotta do more. You know, let's take care of Rafael. Let's make sure he takes additional courses during this period of time. We need more loans. Let's talk to the other banks. Make sure that they're helping because we need the help. And it worked. It worked mightily. And he will share with you what has happened in this last year. People don't understand that with calamities come opportunities. But don't expect the opportunity to knock on your door. You have to knock on theirs. And certainly we had something to help, but we had a leader at BIC who certainly was the individual at the right time in the right place. And so I am absolutely delighted to present to you the chairman of BICNY, Jim Lanfranchi.
I'd like to take a moment because this public-private partnership is not just banks. There's also business people. So I'd like to take a moment, and when I do call your name, I'd like you to just stand up so everybody knows exactly who you are. I'd like to introduce our dedicated board members. Vice Chair, Sandra Erickson, President of Sandra Erickson Real Estate. Sieta Shan, Associate Group Director, Signature Bank. Dolores Batista, President, Karma Business Group. Gus Petrago, and part of the Citibank Mafia that we're all... No, really, you guys don't realize the effect Citibank had on this group, even though they're not a member, ironically. How many of the board members are former Citibankers and cut our teeth there. Great place to learn. Gus Petrago, Ralph Bambaca, Senior Vice President, President of TD Bank. Hugh Campbell, Esquire, Principal of Rodman Campbell. Joseph Coleman, President of Write Check. Daniel Garcia, President of Salsa Caterers. George Grace, President of GE Grace and Company. Raul Giraldo, Senior Vice President, another city banker. Wells Fargo Bank. And I wasn't going to say this, but I can't because I took it out. The lovely, gracious, and talented President of Johnson Security Bureau, Jessica Johnson. I wasn't, I took it out, but then she's just such a rock star. She's so eloquent and is phenomenal contributor to the board, and we couldn't do it without her. Michael Ortiz, Vice President, J.P. Morgan Chase. Akbar Rizvi, Chief Lending Officer, Spring Bank. D.O. Singh, CPA. And Lola Gazavoda, Vice President, M&T Bank. So, in the banking world, the work that the BICNI does, and its participating banks and business owners, is referred to as commercial and industrial lending. We provide capital not to landlords or investors in commercial real estate, but rather to the drivers of the economic engines of our communities. These are the innovators, the entrepreneurs, the risk takers, the job creators, the businessmen and women who nurture and grow the jobs and opportunities that are the sustenance of the people called the Bronx and New York State home. Ladies, gentlemen, esteemed guests, I am honored and I am indeed humbled to introduce the borough president of the Boogie Down Bronx, the Honorable Reuben Diaz Jr.
I tell you, good. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let me see if I messed this up. Please have a seat. Jim, thank you for that introduction. I told you to break the rules about everything else, not about getting too mushy in introducing me. Welcome, everyone, to God's country, the Boogie Down Bronx, especially those that are viewing us virtually. Come on, clap it up. I said welcome. We're in the Boogie Down Bronx. We are in the Garden of Eden, right? The Botanical Garden. If the Bronx is God's country, and it is, then this is the Garden of Eden. And so we want to thank you, Carolina, and all of the board members of Trustee Aaron and Liz and everyone here. Let's give them all a strong round of applause for all that you do. I want to thank Marlene Singtron. Marlene left a little something out of her biography. She said I was she was a young lord. So Marlene and Ralph and everyone at BOEDC, could you please stand? We have the chairman here, Stephen Kaufman. Could you all please stand? All the BOEDC board members as well. If you're the board members of BOEDC. I want to thank my staff. Many of them obviously aren't here. They're all represented by the Deputy Borough President, Marika Scott McFadden. I want to thank all of the sponsors. Let's give the sponsors a strong round of applause. They're all listed all around. If it were not for the sponsors, we would not have a Bronx Week. I said this many times, and with much consternation, we were wondering and trying to plan how is it that we do this week, and should we even do it? We didn't get this done last year. But just like Jim said, it's time to turn the page. And I really want to thank Jim and all of the board members of BIC for hosting this. It's the 22nd annual. Those of you who have participated in the BIC, you are a part of our comeback story. When I first got to Borough Hall, I wanted to do something bold. I wanted to do something that really spoke to who I am as an individual, to my DNA. I was been blessed to having the best job, I say the best political job in the city of New York. And if you're like me and you bleed the Bronx, being the borough president of the Bronx, your birth, the place where you were born, your hometown, it is really a life's dream. But you can't just be happy and complacent with living out your dream and holding that position. I felt like we have to do something bold. And before you do something bold, when you're planning, you have to collect the dots before you connect them. And I had to have a strong team around me. Marlene was a part of that team, and my staff, and partnerships, the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, of course, Sobro, and so many of you here. Some of you I know more intimately than others. We've gotten to really know each other, and we're families. And others, we sort of pass by night, but it's not lost on me what you've been able to accomplish, what we've been able to accomplish together, mapping out the empty lots that the city did not have confidence in when we first got here at Borough Hall while they were developing the rest of the city, creating confidence and making sure that we reduce crime so that those of you who are investing your hard-earned money can make a case that your employees will feel safe where you work, making sure that we do development, but we do it in the right way, in a smart way, and have partners in financing and being able to invest, planning with a purpose, making sure that people not only want to do business in the Bronx, but did business with the Bronx, so that we can have vendors and small businesses grow as they see it all around. I'll be damned if I saw all of the development in my borough without making sure that there were partnerships, real partnerships with small businesses here. When you look at the Community Reinvestment Act and how the BIC and BOEDC have been able to maximize in that. I remember when I was in Albany, we used to talk about that and discuss it, even though that's a federal program. But it was sort of this conceptual thing. As the borough president, working with you all, we were able to execute in a real tangible way. And yes, we've been hit in 2021, and like Jim, I want to turn the page. We've been hurt, we've suffered, we've had loss. But the question now is, now what? We can't just be woe is we. In Spanish, we say, ay bendito. I feel sorry for me. No, we've been through dark moments and dark clouds in the past. And so this is the time now where we regroup. This is why we have to have a breakfast like this. Even though it's a little more contained, even though it's moderated and modified, even though in the past we've had 300-400 individuals in this breakfast. But this is the time now that we start planning so that we can move forward. And so it leads me to an individual that is our keynote today, Dr. Philip O. Oswalt. Dr. Oswalt is the president and CEO of Montefiore Medicine, the umbrella organization for Montefiore Health System and Albert Einstein College of Medicine. A nationally recognized physician, leader, executive, researcher, teacher, and author, Dr. Oswalt previously served as the president of Montefiore Health System, a National Institutes of Health funded researcher and award-winning educator. He also served as professor of the university chairman of the pediatrics at Albert Einstein College of Medicine and physician-in-chief of Children's Hospitals at Montefiore, better known as CHAM. Did I get that right, Doc? In these roles, Dr. Oswalt expanded access for underserved communities, recruited and cultivated outstanding talent, and advanced programs of excellence, fostered innovation in medical education, and improved financial and operational performances by integrating care across a rapidly growing and evolving Montefiore system that sees over 6 million patient interaction a year, 6 million. Under his leadership, Montefiore Health System specialties ranked in the top 1%, so we get the very best, of the nation's hospitals. And CHAM was recognized as one of America's, quote, best children's hospitals, according to the United States, New York, and World Report. Dr. Oswalt has been recognized locally and nationally for excellence in teaching and patient care, including as an inductee of the Alpha Omega Alpha Honor Medical Society and a 2-time recipient of the Academic Pediatric Association's prestigious Healthnet Award for Innovation in Medical Education. That was a mouthful. Along with his various awards for teaching and clinical excellence, Dr. Oswalt has also been recognized by Modern Healthcare as one of the top 25 COOs in healthcare. Dr. Oswalt earned his medical degree from the University of, I'm having difficulty with this one, Ibadan in Nigeria. I'll have a footnote on that in a minute. a master's degree in education from the University of Southern California, and a PhD in educational leadership and administration from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. He completed his pediatric internship and residency in Albert Einstein College of Medicine and Montefiore, and his postdoctoral fellowship in medical education at the University of Southern California School of Medicine. Aside from all that you can read and you can examine in Dr. Oswalt's curriculum vitae, one of the things that for a lot of folks don't know is that he's a child prodigy. He went in Nigeria, he went into the studying medicine at the tender age of 14. Here I thought I was a child prodigy in politics. Dr. Oswalt has proven to embody the spirit of the Boogie Down Bronx. Patterson and Millbrook projects, Casanova all over that. What do I mean? The spirit of resiliency, the spirit of perseverance. Could you imagine the story of a young Nigerian, and what happens in his hometown and in that continent and the walks of life that leads him, that he can go any place in the planet, but he decided to come here to the Boogie Down Bronx, where we're also resilient, where we also have the spirit of perseverance. But I'll tell you one other thing, and I'll bring them up after this, where you and your team embodies the spirit of the Bronx, is that here in the Bronx, we're loyal, man. We're loyal folks. We're not what you call fair weather friends. You see, Montefiore has been with us during the good times, and that's easy. It's easy to be somebody, when things are, when we rattle off all of these statistics, Jim, on unemployment status and Monty being the highest employer and before the pandemic and things were rolling in the right direction, it was easy being down with us. And in your personal lives, each and every single one of you and those who are watching, think about when you were down and out. The people that you thought were your friends and your family. When there was a dark cloud over you, when you were hit hard, when you were punched in the gut. Who was around you then? Well, you know what? Over the last 14 months, we got punched in the gut and in the chin, and we got kicked. And you know who was with us? You know who was down with us? Montefiore. And he just came in at the helm in January, so talk about baptism by fire. And so Montefiore could have just said, okay, we're a healthcare system and we're going to deal with COVID patients and we're going to just stay in our lane. But no, they opened up testing locations, vaccination, food, and all of the assistance that we needed in order to truly, truly bounce back. And because of that, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to help me welcome our keynote speaker, Dr. Oswalt.
Wow. Thank you, President Diaz. Warm words. Thank you so much. Thank you. We've got the best of the Bronx here this morning. See, I have to thank Marlene Cintron, Jim, Frankie, Raphael, Roger, all of you are very well known for what you do in the Bronx and for businesses in the Bronx. Thank you. We also have a Montefiore board member here, the chair of our community services on the Montefiore board, Ms. Gail Robinson. She's a longtime Bronx resident. And several of my co-workers from Montefiore are here also, so thank you as well. And what better location to meet than the New York Botanical Gardens, a world-renowned leader in horticulture. Thank you so much for hosting us. The Bronx's often known struggle, but it has always persevered, as you heard. In the 1970s, when fires and rubble captivated national headlines, local activists in the Bronx stood up, established Banana Kelly, Muscadamus, Bronx Shepherds, and other organizations focused on rebuilding. Government and private investments followed their lead. In the 1980s, when the crack and AIDS epidemics overwhelmed us, it was Hunts Point Multi-Service, United Bronx Parents, Narco Freedom, and other such organizations that took the lead and brought government and private funding in their wake. The Bronx has often known struggle. In the 90s, when crime surrounded us and led to aggressive policing, culminating in the shooting of a fellow West African immigrant, Amadou Diallo, community leaders stepped in and drove a new era of police-community relations and helped to bring down crime. And so it was that this past year, when the COVID-19 pandemic shut down the world, our people at Montefiore and Einstein stood up, set aside fear of the unknown, and went above and beyond their duty to save thousands of lives at great risk to themselves and their families. Our people gave the very best of themselves. They fought day and night against a relentless, unseen foe. And the virus didn't spare us either at Montefiore. We've lost 29 of our Montefiore teammates to this virus despite our best efforts. Every generation, if it is lucky, is called upon to make enormous sacrifices for a greater purpose, the welfare of humanity. The courage and resilience displayed by the people of Montefiore was only reflective of the courage and resilience of the people of the Bronx. Like the delivery workers, first responders, so many others who went out and did their jobs despite the virus. Like so many elected officials and leaders who organized mask distributions, sanitizer distributions, food distributions, and vaccinations all across this borough. The pandemic is not the only crisis that we face. Structural racism in all its forms threatens our democracy and our economy. The cold-blooded murder of George Floyd triggered the biggest reckoning on race in the U.S. in the 1960s. People are demanding change, opportunity, justice, equality. We at Montefiore, we hear those voices. And we hear also a lot of talk about diversity and inclusion. You know, diversity is not something that we do at Montefiore. It is who we are. "70% of our workforce are people like me, from brown and black communities, and most of them live in the Bronx. For over a century, Montefiore has been a part of the fabric of the Bronx. We're proud of our role as an anchor institution. We're also extremely proud of our role as an economic engine and a major employer. The latest Haney's report shows that Montefiore in the Bronx generates 33,000 jobs, over $600 million in community benefits, and over $7 billion in economic activity. I'm happy to announce this morning that Montefiore is launching a community enrichment blueprint. It will have a health equity component that will make this borough a paradigm of community health. It will have a health and wealth component that will serve as a major catalyst for economic recovery, to put the Bronx back on the path to historic growth. We're launching a Montefiore Supplier diversity program to identify, support, and provide contracting opportunities for Bronx-based businesses and regional certified We will make significant investments to help Bronx businesses, small and large, to recover, reopen, and expand. We will also leverage all of our large national suppliers to partner with and support Bronx businesses. Montefiore will drive towards a vision of shared health that will triple our spend in the Bronx. I have directed that we spend tens of millions of dollars more on small businesses in the Bronx. I'm happy to say that these efforts, all of our efforts in this area, will be led by no stranger to this borough, our senior executive, Marcus Crespo. The Bronx has often known struggle, but she has always recovered and came back even stronger. So if we as friends and neighbors and leaders do our part to address the economic challenges, structural inequities, and social injustices that plague our world, and if we resolve to reapply the same selfless courage and determination that we have brought to bear in the past on prior crises, I dare to believe that together we will uplift the Bronx to newer heights and prove once again the true strength of our shared humanity.
I think I found my next gig. I'm going to be the chief campaign strategist to Dr. Oswalt's election campaign for like some future office or something, right? That was powerful, Dr. Oswalt. Thank you for, again, being a friend to the Bronx pre-pandemic, through the pandemic, and now with this announcement of making sure that Monty's procurement is really going to reach Bronx businesses and help stimulate the economy. I am convinced that that would be the paradigm, that would be the catalyst, and that hopefully it would become contagious with other major institutions. Let's give Dr. Oswalt a strong round of applause. I get to this one. So I'm giving you the official Bronx Afghan. There you go. Let that go. Let that side go. There we go. Now we go. You stand on that side. You stand on that side. I stand on this side. You have all the institutions here. And let me just fold this up. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then this is the goodie box here. Brothers want to tell them what it is? Yes.
So this is. Hi, Rafael Roger, Executive Director of Business Initiative Corporation of New York. So this is a new group that started out of the Bronx Terminal Market, not Bronx Terminal Market, the Arthur Avenue Market, Taste of the Bronx. So they include 4 small businesses that operate here in the borough, and they change it and they curate it every quarter. Right now in that box is hand sanitizer from our friends at the Port Morris Distillery. There's it's called Lexington sauce from a barbecue company, Father and Son Kitchen here in the Bronx. There's artists in there, and they change it up every month. So if you go to tasteofthebronx.com, you guys can order. And this is for him as well.
Thank you.
Rafael, very unassuming guy, a workhorse. The poor guy gets me, bendito. But I need to tell you that what's important about a leader is that you can turn on a dime. And last year, at the end of March, I caught COVID. And he didn't know until today. He just found out. My staff doesn't know. My family didn't know until 2 months ago when I finally admitted to it. I went through it by myself in my house with no one because my daughter had just had a baby and I didn't want to flip her out. She had enough to think about. So, thank God for Zoom. I could get on Zoom. I could turn off the sound so they couldn't hear me cough. I could turn off the monitor so they couldn't see what I look like. But when I couldn't speak, Rafael was there to speak for us. When we had the destruction of so many businesses here in the Bronx, and by that time I was beyond fine, he walked those streets with me. When I decided, along with my amazing board, that we were going to borrow money from the state agencies that had given me money for other purposes, that I was going to package $1.2 million and immediately give it to my Bronx businesses to ensure that they stayed standing. I relied on Rafael to help with the leadership, to help with the decision making, to help with the process of how it was that we were going to give out this paltry sum of money. It was all we had at that point. But it was important that we put it out there. And that is who this guy is. He works for Bickney. That's who pays him. It's not BOEDC. But I never heard, Marlene, it's not my job. Because if you're in this room, everybody knows this. It's everybody's job. And so, Rafael, I thank you. I thank you for being you, for tolerating me, for being the leader, the quiet giant that you are, for bringing to the Bronx record number loans in the last year. I mean, when you think about that, here we have so many people hurting, and yet this has been Bickney's banner year, and that doesn't, to the institutions that are here, that doesn't take you off the hook. We need more loans, okay? Okay, but certainly what I want for you all to know is that Rafael Roger is worthy of our respect, our attention, and Bickney is an institution that you can trust with your clients, because we're going to take care of them as we have taken care of the Bronx. And to Montefiore, a little note, side note, we are getting another business shortly this year. We stole them from Brooklyn. And the reason why we're able to steal them from Brooklyn is because Montefiore is selling a building that they didn't need. And because of that, this business that does a lot of accessories for a small company called David's Bridal is moving to the Bronx. And it's going to provide even more jobs, especially for women and Latina women who are particularly gifted with needlepoint. But certainly, as we look to see how we redefine the issue of economic development and new jobs and replacing old with the new and new with the old, we're going to have even more jobs by the end of the year because of Bickney and Montefiore. So thank you. Thank you for working with us. And so, enough said. Rafael Roger.
So, as well, I know they're leaving as well, but we also have a citation for the folks at Montefiore for helping get everybody in the room. But I know Dr. Oswalt had another engagement. It's my pleasure to have you here at the 22nd Annual Bankers Breakfast. I want to thank the garden. Elizabeth, thank you for the multiple phone calls and all the annoying things that I do to the people around me. You guys are used to it already, and I thank you for your patience. And our idea this year was to come up with the theme of perseverance and recovery, because that's what we're all going through. And what does that mean? For us, usually it just means how many loans you get, how you do this. But for us going forward, we had to think about, how do our businesses recover? What do they need to recover? What steps do we need to take towards stability and getting their health together? And how do we foster all this? And it's with the people here in this room. I'm going to mention them really quickly, and I'm going to forget somebody, but through the borough, our friends here at the BIDS, BOEDC, the Bronx Chamber of Commerce. I don't know where Lisa is. Thank you for putting up with all of my random phone calls and sending people your way. The Bronx Business Coalition, Michael Brady, who's not here, got us all together just out of a random phone call and said, what do we need to do to get all the information organized? And we got it out. The Bronx Cooperative, Sobro, there's countless others that we can mention that really stepped up when we weren't expecting it, because I think we all started in our own silo and then realized we couldn't do it alone. So thank you all for stepping up and never asking a question why. And really, to me, what it comes down to is trust. We trusted each other because we've all worked with each other in the past, but the businesses didn't have to trust us because they didn't really know all of us. I would like to say, and we all kind of knew it beforehand, before Lisa took over the chamber, we had a North Bronx and a South Bronx. Coming out of this, I think we have a united Bronx because we all stepped in, my board members, the people I didn't know. I had people from around the country calling up and saying, how can we help? I was calling people in California to say, I have a business that has XYZ, how can we help them? And those people said, we can do it. Whether it came technical assistance, tax assistance, getting capital for people, everybody stepped in. So thank you all. And very briefly, I did want to mention, as part of this, our restaurants were hit particularly hard. In our book of business, every single one of them had to pivot to do something different, which is also a new word in our vocabulary, pivot. So as part of this, everybody at home, please join our social media, help share this, get the word out to support those businesses. we're going to be giving out 3 gift certificates to those businesses in our portfolio. Chez Oscar is a restaurant in Brooklyn, French restaurant. Our friends over at Blend Astoria, that gift certificate you can use at any of their 3 restaurants, Blend Astoria, Blend on the Water, and Blend Long Island City. And it was a pizzeria and my wife's favorite place, and we are going to have it this weekend because I have no choice. I've told him, stop making good chocolate cake and you'll get rid of us. But please go support, and we're going to pick 3 random people from our feed, and we'll get you those gift certificates. So now let's get on to the citations. So first, we are going to start with our longtime supporter of this, Michael Ortiz. Thank you so much. Our friends at JP Morgan Chase, they're constantly just checking in just to see how we're doing. And this citation is for you guys. Thank you so much. They are constantly just checking in and making sure that our businesses are okay. He had to put up with me calling him about 5 times on, why did you shut down that branch on 167th Street? Our next is, there he is, Richard DeSilowitz from TD Bank. Thank you, Richard. Over the years, you've been a great friend. Next are our friends at Ponce Bank. And I can say 1,000 things about the guys at Ponce and my mentor, Madeline. Thank you. I actually already called her this week, or was that then the last week, to help with another PPP. Next, I don't think Con Ed is here, but we want to thank them. They're a longtime Bronx Week sponsor and Banker's Breakfast sponsor, and literally without them, we wouldn't have the lights on, so thank you. To Eric Soto, we miss you, but we'll probably see you tomorrow. Our next bank is our friends at Webster Bank. Jim Lanfranchi. Next is our friends at Johnson Security Bureau. Jessica Johnson Cope. Are you guys second generation or third? Third generation here in the Bronx, right near the courthouse. And that last, but definitely not least, M&T Bank, Lola Gazavoda. Thank you so much. She is our newest board member, but she has come in swinging, is to say the least. And the awards this year are going to be just a hair different because we missed last year. And these folks definitely deserve to be acknowledged for all the work that we do. And these banks also, as part of PPP and trying to get the money into the small businesses. And I have to give the SBA a shout out for writing 3 or 4 different loan programs or loan and grant programs basically within 3 months. What they did was absolutely exceptional. They're overworked right now, which is backing us all up, but thank you. And the first award is our Terrence Martin Award. Terrence was a fleet banker and a founding member of our board of directors. He was the chairman of our loan committee until he passed. And the first award goes to Gus Boyd-Trigo at Flushing Bank. Our next award is to our chairman. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the work you do. Thank you for the referrals. Charles Johnson. He was our marketing committee chair, and we wouldn't be in this room because he was the one who actually came up with the idea of the Banker's Breakfast. So if it wasn't for your family, we would not be in this room. And we'd like her to present this award to our friends over at Spring Bank. Thank you so much. Akbar, Demetrius, please come on up. Akbar put up with a lot of stuff from me this year. I'm sorry. All of our Bronx banks, our businesses, our stakeholders, thank you so much for everything you've done this year. Business initiative. It has definitely been a heck of a last 14 months, but we're looking forward to a better 14 months coming forward. The 504 program has allowed us to invest in our businesses here and around New York State. And I say it when I speak, and I mean this, it is the best show in town. If you have a business with 10% down, with a 25-year fixed rate mortgage, you can invest in your business. You can invest in your real estate. You can grow and control your future. The best part of it to me is you also get to waive the mortgage recording tax, and if you're in New York State, that's almost 3% of your loan alone. So that can go back into your business, and you create the jobs, and you create what you need to do to make your business expand. Our board of directors, thank you so much. Jim mentioned them this year. You've put up with a lot of Zoom calls and a lot of random questions on tax. How does this affect somebody? How do we get this done? Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to thank the board of BOEDC. Chairman Kaufman is here, and Marlene. It's been a weird, that's the only way to put it, it's been a weird year, but we figured it out. And we look forward to continuing it. To our sponsors and honorees, please continue to work with us. We're here because of you, and we hope to continue working because of you. Oswalt Jimenez, when you're not dropping stuff, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a much smaller event than we normally do, but it still is equally as intricate as trying to put everything together and getting everybody into a room. So the Bronx Tourism Council, who isn't here, but was also working behind the scenes, BOEDC, the borough president's staff, you guys all stepped in and helped us get this thing going. Elizabeth, sorry. Thank you. Thank you to the Botanical Gardens for hosting us. This was a great morning. One more time for our keynote speaker, Dr. Philip Oswalt. Montefiore, we look forward to seeing this new announcement play out, and I know our businesses are very excited. And one more time, we're going to go through the sponsors: JP Morgan Chase, TD Bank, Bonse Bank, Con Edison, Webster Bank, Johnson Security Bureau, M&T Bank, Flushing Bank, Spring Bank, our friends at the SBDC here at Lehman College, SCORE, and the United States Small Business Administration. And finally, the Honorable Reuben Diaz Jr., thank you. Under your support over the last 11 years, this organization has grown tremendously. I can speak for Madeline, who had this spot before I did. We would not have been able to do and say the things that we did without the support that you gave to the borough. So thank you. Maybe you'll come back. I don't know. It's up to you. Everyone, please have a great summer. Enjoy the rest of the morning. Have a good night.